Ready for bold moves and powerful transformation? Welcome to the Bold and Brilliant podcast, where women share the decisions that changed everything. Today's guest is Donya Fahmy, Alchemist-in-Chief at Sustainable Health Solutions and creator of Dropwise Essentials. A natural health and wellness expert with over 20 years of experience, Donya is also a #1 Amazon International bestselling author who used plant-based living and natural solutions to heal herself after decades of chronic health challenges which traditional medicine couldn't. In this episode, Donya shares the bold decision that reshaped her health, her work, and her mission, and the insights that can help you step into your own version of optimal wellness. Welcome, Donya, to the Bold and Brilliant podcast. All right, Donya, welcome to the Bold and Brilliant podcast. I'm so excited we're getting a chance to record this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited about it too.
Yay, me too. Okay. We've known each other for a few years now. You've been in the Gather community. We both live in, well, I'm not technically in the Bay Area, but I'm kind of Bay Area-ish, so we're kind of neighbors. And through the Gather community, I've had a lot of chances to hear you speak, to learn how you work, what you're passionate about health, and how you mentor people to wellness, success, and health, and all the good stuff. But this platform is going to reach people who haven't met you yet. And honestly, while we learn a lot about how you work with people, I think there's people even in our community who don't know kind of the origin story of how you got into this line of work and why you're so passionate about it. So give us a little origin story. Tell us about how you got started.
I usually don't talk about it because it's kind of a long, bumpy ride.
Well, let's, try to keep it.
Yeah,
clear.
so we'll just I mean, you know how it is with a lot of entrepreneurs who end up creating a business, either a product or a service based on some personal experience they've had. So that's
right.
what it is for me, which is had my whole big, what I call my healing journey, was what gave birth to what I do now. But to precede that, just to give a little bit of background, it kind of all started when I was in my 20s in college. And it started with I call like your garden variety allergies. And then allergies turned into sinus infections. And sinus infections turned into bronchitis. This is over a period of a couple of years. And then, so I was living in New York City where I grew up. And, I'd go to the doctor and they'd be like, "Oh, you're young, you're healthy, your immune strong. There's nothing wrong with you." Okay, well, my
There's
roommate's
nothing
kind of
wrong with
annoyed
me,
with
yet
me
my
because,
face is dripping and I feel terrible.
well, and my roommate's about to kick me out because I'm keeping her up all night with my cough, that kind of thing. I was like, okay, whatever. Just go with the flow, because I've always been a go with the flow kind of person anyway. But so those were the early experiences. And then I moved to California, it's in the late 80s, and I developed adult onset asthma, which was kind of weird. I didn't smoke. I mean, I smoked a little bit when I was in high school, but we all go like through our little phases, cigarettes. And so I was getting treated for that, cortisone inhaler and all that kind of stuff. And everything seemed fine, but in between, sort of woven in between these main issues, were a lot of other things. So I had migraines, occasional migraines, a couple times a year I'd have migraines. I had bouts of chronic fatigue. This was when I was still in New York, actually. Serious bouts of chronic fatigue where there were days where I'd wake up and I couldn't get out of bed. Like I was just so wiped out. And then because I'm in my 20s and I'm a little bit foolish, on the days that I was feeling good, I'd get up and go out and party. So, go out drinking, whatever. And then, of course, a couple of days later, I'd have another one of these days where I just couldn't get out of bed. And so this was kind of difficult. And then combine that with these other things. And then when I moved, well, before I moved to California, actually, it started. It's been such a long time now. It's hard for me to get the exact
pinpoint it
timeline,
all.
but I was going through a lot of digestive issues, right? And then when I first moved down here to California, I was getting treated for the asthma. And then I got a diagnosis. I'll never forget this. I got diagnosis. They told me I had IBS. This was back in 1990, right? Like more than 30 years ago, before IBS was a thing. Now it's a thing.
No one heard of
everybody
it.
has it. But back then it was like a kind of a newish thing. And I remember the doctor saying to me, she said, "Oh, don't worry. It's very common. A lot of people have it. We don't know what causes it, and there's no cure for it." And I'm like, in my mind's eye, I'm like scratching my head going, what? Like, huh? Isn't that what you guys are supposed to do? Isn't that what doctors are supposed to do? Figure this stuff out, you know? So it kind of planted that seed of doubt in my mind. And it was, you know, I kind of shrugged it off at the time. I was like, okay, that kind of sounds for code. Like, we just don't know. We don't know. We don't know what we're doing. Didn't give it much thought. And then fast forward a couple of years, maybe 2, 3 years. And that's when my personal healing crisis started, or my health crisis. Thankfully, nothing major, but I basically developed a really nasty case of eczema,
Mm.
and it dogged me for the better part of 7 years. And during that time, so when it first came on, I was working in corporate at the time, and when it first came on, it was so intense. I would scratch myself in my sleep until I bled at night. And I didn't even know I was doing this, right? You're just kind of
You're sleeping. Yeah.
and you're scratching and you wake up and then there's like stuff on the sheets and you're like, gross, you know? And at the time, it's like I said, I was working in corporate. It would like there'd be days I'd get up, I'd shower, I'd get dressed for work, put on my suit. And within 5 minutes of putting on the pantyhose, the unbearable itching would start again. And I'd have to get undressed, put on like a cotton t-shirt and call in sick.
Mm.
And then when I was at work, I'd have to sneak off to the bathroom several times a day to have a secret scratch fest in the stall, right? It was awful. That was really, it was a really stressful time because I was like, what the
And the stress isn't helping any of that.
right, it makes it worse. And then
Yeah.
what the hell is this? Where did it come from? Why? Like, you know, and then so initially I was at UCSF, which is a teaching hospital, and they had like a dermatology clinic or something like that. So I went there, and then you had like students, like you know, interns and people who were still in med school doing their stuff. And so the guy that was seeing me, he offered me prescription antihistamines, you know, like stronger antihistamines, and prescription hydrocortisone cream. And I tried that and it didn't work. It's just like, and a week goes by and I'm like ready to jump out of my skin. I was like, I want to jump out the window. I'm so
Well, and I'm
miserable.
sure they were baffled because that's what you give people who itch. Like there's no
I mean, they didn't
other
even like,
option.
and he just didn't seem like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was not really focused on that so much. I just wanted relief is all I wanted, right? So I went
Yeah.
in again a second time. And I'm sitting in the exam room with the little cotton thing that's open in the back. You know? And he says, hey, do you mind? He's my professor's here, like doing rounds with the students. Do you mind? I'm just going to call him in for a consult. So
Mhm.
he brings a professor in, the professor looks at me, and then the professor says, do you mind if I bring my students in here? And I'm like, dude, just anything.
Let's all look at
Just give me
Donya's
some relief.
body.
I don't care. You know, so all these students come in and they're all standing around me in a circle, you know, it's kind of was awkward, weird, you know, but it's fine. And he's teaching, right? So he's telling me, saying, you know, he's like, this woman's had it, he says to the guy that had been treating me. He goes, you know, if she came to me in my private practice, I'd give her a cortisone shot. But here we were in a teaching environment and they frown upon that because there are some serious long-term side effects from cortisone, right? So I'm hearing all this, I'm absorbing all that. He's like, give her a shot, you know, she needs it. So he gave me the shot, and like within less than 2 days, it cleared up. Right.
Oh.
So I'd been miserable for weeks and weeks and weeks, you know, and then we tried it like the easy way with the antihistamines and the whatever.
Mhm,
And I was
mhm.
like, okay, the only thing that worked was this quarter. And I was like, all right, like I'm grateful now that I have some relief and it's clearing up and now I can get back to my life normal. So now, like 6 months down the road, all of a sudden it comes back. Not as
Time for
intense.
another
The
shot.
first time was the most intense, like it was the
Mhm.
hardest. After that, it was less intense, but it was just troublesome, right? Like, and then it's uncomfortable, and then you're, you know, trying to hide your stuff from people. And so then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see another dermatologist, like a private practice dermatologist. And so this lather, rinse, repeat, this happened over and over a 7 year period. And I went to a parade of dermatologists looking for answers and solutions and got none. Yeah, none of them could tell me what was causing the problem. None of them had a different protocol to offer. It was all the same thing. A prescription sent antihistamines, prescription strength hydrocortisone, and when that didn't work, boom, we'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
And the whole time that this was going on, I was just, it was stressful and frustrating. And like, you know, a lot of people, I think most of my family and friends didn't really know what I was going through because I was kind of keeping it to myself.
Yeah.
But I was frustrated and stressed, and I was thinking to myself, like, what, like, this is not sustainable. Can't every time my skin breaks out, go get a shot. I mean, they said already up front, he said, there's a lot of long-term potentially, you know, adverse side effects from using cortisone. And if we're not figuring out what's causing the problem, how are we going to ever solve it? Am I gonna have to just like accept this as my new normal and live like this all the time? I was like, this is not working for me. So the next time I had a breakout, I went to my primary care physician at the time. instead of a dermatologist, thinking, all right, maybe she has a different solution. And I said, this is what I've been up to. I hadn't seen her in a couple of years. This has been what's been going on with me. And I'm just fed up and frustrated. And so she said, well, I'm not going to give you a cortisone shot. And I was like, okay, well, and I thought, oh, maybe she has a new, better protocol. She said, I'll just give you cortisone in a pill form, right? We're going to step up the dose gradually over a week and step it down over another week. And I just kind of was like, okay. And this is straight from the horse's mouth. She said, we as doctors don't really know how cortisone works in the body. We don't know if we give you this thing now and it clears up your issue and then your issue comes back. We don't know if it came back because the effects of the cortisone wore off or if it's coming back for another reason.
Yeah.
And in that moment, that little seed of doubt that had been planted in my mind a few years earlier just burst forth. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, they really don't know what they're doing. Why am I still here? How much worse could it be if I stopped doing this and tried something else? And
Yeah.
so it was a liberating moment for me. And that I was like, okay, I'm just fine. All my doctors and my dermatologists, and I'm gonna figure this out for myself. I've always been a kind of do-it-yourself gal, but to be honest, I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I didn't have any solutions
Yeah.
or anything ready at hand. I just knew I needed to make a major pivot from this whole experience. It was just left a sour taste in my mouth, and now I started to not trust the medical system anymore. I felt like they don't seem to have a handle. You go to a skin doctor, they should be able to tell you why your skin is breaking out. And when they can't tell you, that's a clue right there. So I fired all the doctors. It was a liberating thing. And then it was like an interesting thing happened. It was like, along the way, as soon as I relinquished my personal power to quote unquote authority figures and experts, the answers and solutions started dropping in.
Mm.
So I'm like a bookworm, not a bookworm, but I'm like a seeker of knowledge and truth. And so I'm a lifelong learner. And so I just dove into natural remedies, natural solutions. I found my initial salvation with essential oils, aromatherapy. I had already been playing with essential oils just for fun, a little hobby. I had a small collection and a small library of books about aromatherapy and how to blend and do all this kind of stuff.
Mine are in here.
Yeah, there you go. So I started looking at okay, what oils are good for the skin? What oils are good for inflammation? I mean, at the time, I had not connected all the dots, right? To me,
Yeah.
that this skin thing I was thinking it was coming from an external source.
Right. You still think it's
Yeah.
just the skin.
Not a systemic thing coming from internal. I thought it was coming from, maybe something, a product. I started looking at all the labels on my products and thinking what is in here? Could be causing the problem. I don't know. And that's when I started becoming hip to all the toxic ingredients that were in personal care and beauty products, like a lot of chemicals, a lot of things you can't pronounce.
Right.
So that was the beginning of one journey. The essential oils, I made a little blend, based on what I found in my books, and I put it in a base of organic jojoba oil, like a body oil. And whenever I'd start itching, I'd put that on. And amazing, it worked remarkably well to control the itching in a way that nothing else ever did. Like calamine,
Wow.
the oatmeal baths, all the stuff that I tried over the years that never worked, this worked. And I was like, light bulb moment, another light bulb moment.
Okay, let's stop there just for a second.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because for generations, healers in all around the world have been using plants and
Exactly.
the oils from the plants and all of these natural ways to heal people, whether it's topically or you eat them or it's the aroma or you burn them and it's the smoke, like all of the things. How did we get to the point where modern medicine totally negates all of that? Was it colonialism? Like, where did
No,
that
it
come
was,
from?
I mean, honestly, it's from all the research I've done and what I know is it started in the 50s with a Rockefeller. Rockefeller
Okay.
started the American Medical Association. He
Mm.
controlled the curriculum in medical schools. He basically started the pharmaceutical industry, and it was all
Oh, okay.
designed to work together, not to
Yeah,
heal, but to treat,
to
to treat
treat.
symptoms, because sad to say it, but it's all about the money, right?
And
And
do you
so,
think that people like took that on as truth because he
uh,
was just so influential and rich and all of those things? Or like, why did
well, they
they
didn't take it on from
take?
him directly, right? He created the industry, and then
Yeah.
the industry became like the standard, the gold standard.
So, because I'm just thinking of like, why would women, for example, who are taking care of their families,
Yeah.
stop doing what they've been doing for decades, centuries, whatever, for their whole lives that their moms did, and do something else.
Well, I think it's a generational thing, right? So if
Mm.
you were born around that time in the 50s and like
You
basically,
thought it was the new modern way, maybe.
yeah, or right. So you grew up in a household where you'd go to the doctor. Like we had a family doctor I went to until I was like, I think 12 or something like that. And he was a cool guy. I liked him. He's an older guy, and then he ended up
You
retired.
retired, yeah.
Um, you just didn't question it.
Yeah.
Right? You just accepted that the experts are telling you this and that. And I mean, think about it. Up until the late 60s, they were
We
telling you
didn't question anything,
you
right?
didn't question cigarette smoking, right?
Yep.
Even doctors were smoking
Yeah,
cigarettes, and some
totally.
of them still do, I
Well,
think.
and there was the whole like you don't question authority, you don't question
Right.
your elders and all of that stuff too. So like if your
Exactly. So
parents
there's
said
like
this is
this
what
sort
you're
of
gonna do, this is what you do. Yeah,
it's kind of like a unspoken permission structure,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
if you step outside the bounds of it, then you're ostracized in a way, right? And people think, because if you look at the Amish, the Pennsylvania Dutch Amish, they don't do farmer skills. They're very
Right.
much down, and they're
Yeah.
shunned for it. People think that they're nuts and they're crazy, or they're drinking raw unpasteurized dairy. What? Like, so there's a lot of stuff around that, and I talk about this sometimes. I've written about it on my blog in the past. This sort of whole era of germophobia,
Mhm.
where we're taught, like, to be afraid of germs, and that germs are what make you sick. And then there was this heavy emphasis on sanitation and detergent. You're using soaps that detergent your skin, so there's not this and not all of it was intentional. I think, like, we just evolve and we grow as humans as we learn things.
Sure.
You learn that some of these products that you use that you thought were keeping you safe from germs are actually harming you because they're chemicals and they're
Right.
toxic.
Because they're
Now
chemicals and they're blocking your
yeah.
natural. Yeah, that makes a
I
lot of
just
sense.
saw an expose recently about polio and the whole thing
Mm.
around polio, which was at the time that polio was a thing. It was also a time when the government was promoting is it DDT?
DDT. Yeah,
DDT
the
thing?
pesticide.
Yeah, and it showed footage. It was shocking. It was like black and white footage of them spraying school children with it, right?
Mhm.
Like, so it's the same principle. It's like you took this poison and you made it okay. You normalized it.
Yeah.
But people thought, okay, that has to be good. The government's telling us good, or the public health
Right.
people, or the doctors, or whoever telling us it's okay. And it turned out that that was a big contributing factor to polio,
Mm.
but that was
Wow.
hidden from us. So, like, if you screw up like that, you're not going to come out. Unfortunately,
Yeah, they're
and
not gonna
I
go
wish
own
they
it later.
would. I wish people would come back out and just admit their mistakes and apologize rather than trying to hide it, double
Yeah.
down that that was the right thing to do. And we still see this happening today in a lot of areas of medicine. So,
Sure.
um, I basically have left the medical system way back then when all that stuff happened. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so for me, it's like my results are this. I haven't set foot in a doctor's office in 25 years. Oh, 20 years. I think it was 2005. So last
Wow.
time. And when I went in for that appointment, it had been already 8 years since my last MD visit. And they couldn't find my records. They said they'd ship them off to cold storage. Okay. I
After
was kind
seven
of,
years, you're in the back room.
yeah, you're a nobody. You're over here. You're delicate here. I mean, I was kind of in the perimenopause stage at that point, and I wanted to check. I thought, like, make sure it's not a thyroid thing. I was feeling a little
Yeah.
depressed or whatever. And then the doctor berated me for not coming to see the doctor. I was like, well, I go see a chiropractor once a month. He's like, you go see a chiropractor, but you won't see your doctor. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. No. And that was the end of that. I stopped going after that. So yeah. So
It's
I'm
so
doing,
it is such a hard everyone has like their own story about their medical experience. And I saw someone post today about I'm at the dentist office and I'm freaking out because dentist. And then the next person commented, I love my dentist, but I don't want to go to the OBGYN or whatever. And
yeah.
everyone has their thing that has their bad experience shape their
Yeah.
view. I personally
It's their
don't love
views about health.
about health in general, about who really is out there to help you and who's just doing what they're told to do by whoever.
Doing it to make a buck, or to
Yeah.
make money. I mean, I know people who've had like good experiences throughout. And
Yeah.
so they have
So
a
they're
blind
fine.
faith. They have a blind faith in the system. I feel like it's not a good thing. Even if you've had a good experience, you should always be very like discerning
Curious. Yeah,
and not
discerning and
afraid to
curious about
question.
what the deal is for sure.
I mean, and the thing about it is like we've given doctors this sort of godlike status, right? Where we can't question. We can ask questions, but we can't challenge them. That's
Mm.
not allowed. It's not
Well, and their response
right.
tends to be a very like because I
Dismissive.
said
They're
so kind of a
dismissive,
dismissive.
like, oh, you're going to be a difficult patient. You don't want to do what I tell
Yeah.
you to do.
It
Or
was in
they'll give
a
you
Seinfeld
like,
episode. Do you remember that? Where they would write down Elaine's chart that she was a difficult
oh yeah, that's
person.
right. No matter where she went, she would get the
Yep.
cold shoulder.
Yep.
Well, hey, that's, kind of where they're trying to move us to centralized data systems,
Right.
surveillance systems where they can actually surveil you and your health and monitor and then dictate like what your treatment. Hopefully that's not going to happen, but some people, there are forces out there that are trying to move us in that direction for
For
sure.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and COVID was
And
where it
more than just
all
medicine.
started, with our vaccine passports and all that kind of stuff. It's that's
Right.
all connected to that.
So,
But
okay, so you left the medical world, you found your own solutions. And I know from my experience with you that, there's been things that have come up and you've handled them, whether it's through your naturopath or, like you said, you got see your chiropractor and other specialists that work the way that you like in a way that you can collaborate with them as
yeah.
opposed to just take what they say as gospel.
Well, and again, this is something that's not necessarily just restricted to the Western medicine, because I worked with a classical homeopath for about 15 years ago for a couple of years, and she was very dogmatic, and it was difficult for me because I like to
Mm,
work in a spirit of collaboration, and I
yeah.
always worked in a spirit of collaboration with my chiropractor. Like I'd share information with her, she'd share information with me, we'd compare notes on stuff, oh, send me the link to that website, like, and so I felt like we're on the same page, whereas this woman was like, do it my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And if you screw up, then it makes it impossible for me to know if what I'm doing is working. And so I respected that and I went along with it, but I didn't like it very much. And then
Hmm.
I had started having dental problems, and that's hereditary. My mom had lost all her teeth by the time she was in her 60s. Uh,
Wow.
but this homeopath couldn't handle it. She's like, there's a gold mine to be made in your mouth. And then, she's like, you should just stop doing homeopathy and do what they tell you to do. And don't ever do homeopathy again because it could kill you. And I was like, huh? I do, by the way,
Yet she was
homeopathy
the
with my
homeopath.
cats. I've never had an issue there. Yeah, so it's like I feel like everyone has to really pay attention to what matters to them in terms of their relationship with their healthcare provider, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, other than the homeopath, it's only been chiropractic for me. And I get
Wow.
massages, because that's an important part.
Yeah.
And then fitness, like I did Zumba classes for like, oh God, like almost 10 years.
Yeah. Combination of Zumba and chiropractor. You got it all covered. You got you got your muscles, you got your exercise. They're gonna fix anything that goes wrong.
Right. Well, they do the chiropractors I go to, they do structural and they do what's energy resonance testing.
Yeah, I love
They
that.
do that testing to see what's going on in your body, and then they recommend supplements to fix that. So that's how I've
Hmm.
been working in that model. And that was also a bumpy ride, I have to admit, with my chiropractor. My first main chiropractor was with for like God, like 25 years. And then she closed up shop and left California. So now I'm with one of her colleagues. I've been seeing her for the last 3 years. But it was bumpy ride, it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But I was kind of supporting her as she was acquiring more knowledge and experience and kind of more cutting edge stuff that she was doing that you wouldn't
Hmm.
find necessarily at any chiropractor. Um, but I allowed myself to be her guinea pig, while she was working through stuff. And then if it got to be too much, I'd read her the Riot Act. And we'd kind of rein it in and start.
Reset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what's good about that is it's helped me to increase my intuition about myself, right? So
Yeah.
like now I have all these different supplements, and sometimes because I'm only going like once a month, and sometimes stuff comes up in the time in between, and I
Hmm.
don't have the luxury of being able to run over and get another, reading or whatever. But I can kind of intuit and go, okay, I'm gonna try like so recently I had a really bad case of sciatica. It lasted almost
Mm.
a month in my hip. which is not something normal for me. I don't even know how it happened. And I'm trying all these different things. I did go in to see the chiropractor twice, in a 2-week period. She was doing some very specialized things that she doesn't normally do on me. And, someone had recommended St. John's wort. So I was trying that because painkillers don't work for that
Mm.
because it's nerve stuff.
Right, because it's nerves.
It's
Yeah.
not like muscle. And the thing about it is that nerve stuff is brain stuff.
It is all the same
It's
system.
a signaling, the signals being muddled from your brain, pain in general. And so I was like, okay, what supplements can I take to support brain health? So B vitamins, B12 especially, and B6 and some of the others, and magnesium. And I did an essential fatty acid. I think I had cod liver oil. So I went online and I looked up supplements for sciatica because people are offering that. I was like, what's in it? Let me see what's in it. And I got the
Yeah.
gist of it. And then I went and said, what do I have in my collection here already? Because I have a pretty large collection. And then I emailed my chiropractor. I was like, so I'm thinking about adding these things to my protocol. Oh, hello. Oh.
Hi, baby.
Wants to always go right on the computer. Um, I'm thinking about adding these to the protocol. What do you think? So she wrote back. She said, yeah, take 2 of those, 3 of those, 1 of those.
Yeah,
And
great.
honestly, within like 2 days, the pain subsided.
Amazing.
I
Wow.
mean, it could have been a coincidence, but I don't think so because it was pretty steady.
Yeah.
In spite of everything I did, it's pretty steady. It wasn't like a gradual lessening of the pain. It was steady, 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 and then
Yeah. Drop.
away.
Well, and a lot of times it comes down to, I mean, was it because of that? I mean, maybe it wasn't, but maybe it was. And you might as well do what you can
Yeah,
to try to get the results that you want, right?
yeah. But what I like to tell people is, don't give up. And
Yeah.
don't give in, and don't give in. Like when
Yeah.
you think that something is like not fixable
Yeah.
because no one offered you a specific solution, it doesn't mean it isn't. It just means you're going to have to probe a little deeper to find
Yeah.
that solution.
If they don't,
Yeah,
I mean, that's so true in so many areas. Like if that's not the right piece of advice or piece of information or person or personality or any of the above, if it's not the right thing for you, find the right thing. And
right.
whether
That
that's
was
through your own, yeah,
my other pearl of wisdom is like if you keep doing the thing that's supposed to work and it doesn't work, stop doing the thing that's not
yeah,
working
it's
and try
supposed to
something
work,
else.
but every human is different.
Right. That's the ticket. It's
Yeah.
like it's not a one size fits all. So that's the kind of the problem with the Western medical system is that it's based on a kind of a cookie cutter
Yeah.
approach. You
Well,
get
and
this
like the
diagnosis,
majority,
this pill or this procedure, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I could have that diagnosis, but that pill or that procedure might not work
might
for me.
not function in your body the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's not, I mean, the future of medicine is more personalized, which is encouraging, but I think we're dealing with some really like kind of entrenched
Yeah,
bureaucratic interests and money interests that
for
are
sure.
doing everything they can to sort of slow that progress down.
I agree. I love that phrase that the future of medicine is more personalized, or the
Yeah,
future of health is more personalized, because we all recognize how completely different every human is from each other. Even twins are not exactly the same.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what I say is my prescription for healing is go natural, all natural,
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
plants,
So let's talk about like what you share with your
fibers,
clients.
fabrics, everything. Go
Yeah.
natural. Yeah.
Let's
And
talk about how you work with your clients, because I know that your whole philosophy in helping people with their wellness is to help them identify what's important to them and then help them figure out how to move forward with that important thing,
yeah, yeah,
um and to start where they're at.
right.
So share a little bit about it. Like I could keep going
Well,
and talk about
yeah.
you doing your work, but tell us how you're doing your
And
work.
then the whole rest of my journey, which again, I don't talk about because there's like a lot of levels there, but it's okay. I mean, because it's a process and you evolve. So what I like to, I'm very education focused in my approach because I believe that when knowledge is power, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
If I just tell you to do something and you don't understand why I'm telling you to do it or what the benefit of it is or what the hazard is of doing something you shouldn't be doing, depending on
Yeah.
what it is, uh, is it going to stick with you? Are you going to stick with it? Or is it really going to, I want
Right.
to embody it, like to understand it and embody it. So I start with I'm a big fan of frameworks. So I start with a framework to help people understand what to focus on, what's most important for your body to prevent illness, poor health and disease, right? That's prevention, but the prevention is really about lifestyle and making better lifestyle choices, right? But
Mhm.
that's not always that easy to do. But if you have a framework to which you're working towards or to help you navigate that, I think it becomes a lot easier as you do it, and then it becomes internalized, and you don't need to be reminded or to keep learning new things. You just need the basics, right? And so
Yeah.
I teach a framework called Health Snatchers, and that's like, what are the three root core causes of all chronic illness and poor health and disease? And that's chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalance, and immune system weakness or
Hmm.
deficiency. And if you have either chronic inflammation or hormonal imbalance or both, you by default have a weakened immune system,
Hmm.
and your immune system is everything. I can't really emphasize enough.
Well, because we live in a world. I used to, an old mentor used to talk about like we live in the fishbowl, we're in the water. If the
Yeah,
water is awful, you
contaminated.
can't get out of it, right? That's where you live. So, like, how can you make your environment as clean as possible?
Right, safer. So that's the thing. And so it starts with just the framework and understanding like everything you do or everything you eat, everything you put in your mouth, everything you rub on your skin, everything you allow in your environment can be seen through the lens of, is it helping or hurting? Like,
Yeah.
is it increasing the inflammation or decreasing it? Or is it neutral? Some things are neutral, have no impact. Is it helping balance my hormones or throwing them out of whack? Is it strengthening my immune system? Is it weakening my immune system?
Mhm.
So that's just a broad-based framework, right? Then
Yeah.
we go deeper into, and really what I do is like call it my whole life detox process. Well, really all about identifying where you're being exposed to toxins in every area of your life. Again, from what you're putting in your mouth, which is a really big, key, important one.
Yeah.
What are you rubbing into your skin? What's in your environment? Like, what are all the toxins in your home or your office or even your car? And
Mhm.
what your exposure to electromagnetic fields. So
Right.
electrosmog, they call it these days, because that's playing a role too. But it's a kind of like a hidden killer, like you don't even realize it,
Yeah,
right?
you don't think about it.
You don't think about it. It's there though, and it could be it's for people who are overly sensitive, it can really make a big
Yeah.
difference. So there's that, and then there's last but not okay, so your environment, and then last what's going on up here.
Yeah.
I call it your mental, emotional, and spiritual toxins, right?
Yeah.
So because this
Negative
stuff
talk
over
and
here
all of, yeah.
creates stress. All the other stuff that we just mentioned creates toxicity in your body, and stress and toxicity are the two biggest drivers of poor health and
Yeah.
illness. Now,
Yeah.
I like to go down, like drill down to the cellular level. That's what I'm learning more and more these days. It's like, and once you understand what's happening at a cellular level, then you can start to make adjustments or needed, improvements that will, radiate outwards. But
Yeah.
I like to call it detox from the outside in is kind of what I focus on. Let's start
Mhm.
with everything outside of you that's going into you. Let's fix it. Let's get rid of the stuff that's
Yeah.
not helping you, that's hurting you. Let's find replacements for that work, but it's all
Mhm.
about finding what works for you, but also staying within that framework, right? Like you don't
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not very open-ended, because I think that's what a lot of other health coaches do, is that they just kind of like, what do you want to do and how can I help you do that? Well,
Right.
there's a little bit of that, but there's also like you need the bigger picture, and then you decide what you think you should do in your
Well,
particular.
and what you're doing is you're helping people build awareness of what even is happening, right? Like you're
Exactly.
talking about the environmental for a really good example. Like,
Yeah.
what is the air quality in your neighborhood? You get the
Because
scented
things,
laundry detergent that is like this heavy perfume.
right.
Perfume is made with XYZ chemicals and all that kind of, you don't even think about it. You're just like, yay, my laundry smells good, but it's actually maybe not so good for you.
Right. We focus on the things you can control. You can't really
Yeah.
control air pollution, at least not outside your home. Inside
Right.
home, there's some things you can do to mitigate, air purifiers and that kind of thing.
Right.
But like you said, like what's in all the products that I'm using every day? And
Yep.
how can I replace them? Something, and it doesn't necessarily have to, there's been a whole lot of this greenwashing going on, and you want to get things that are environmentally responsible and all that stuff. I suggest,
Yeah.
like, if you just take care of you by putting like healthier natural things in your body, whether it's food or products or whatnot, by definition, you're going to help the environment, right?
Yeah.
because it's the synthetic stuff that's
Right.
harmful to the environment, that creates the pollution. Pollutes the environment, it pollutes your body.
Right. Well, when I said environment, I meant not like trying to fix the environment, but fixing the
Right. I mean,
environment for
obviously,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's things you can do, you can, but those are like really big things, right?
Right.
Like air pollution and water you filter. You can do water filtration, right? And you can
Right.
filter out all the crap that's in your in the tap water, which has gotten really bad everywhere across the US anyway.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's little things like that. And then what are little things like taking care of your mouth, like your teeth, and how many people like floss regularly and brush with
Yeah.
like
Like there's
non-toxic
a reason why
toothpaste.
your dentist wants to know if you floss, because bad gums equals bad health.
Well, plaque on your teeth means you're
Yeah.
not flossing. I mean, I get
Right.
it anyway, even though I floss, but that's again because I have this
Right. But it would be so
hereditary.
much worse if you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I do 4 dental cleanings a year. I go in at once a
I do
quarter,
too. Yeah.
and I kind of have to because
Same.
unfortunately, in spite of all the effort I put into keeping my mouth clean,
Well, and that's
but
just again shows you how every individual is different.
yeah,
I did 4 a year for a long time, and then we're like, well, things are a lot better. We can go back to, or I did
3
to 3
or 2.
or 2, and then they're just like, I think you should come in again sooner. Like it just showed that it
Yeah,
wasn't about what I was doing. It was just how my body processes whatever, and the
right.
things, the coffee that I drink and things like that. It's just like,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you should, have a little more care. And I'm fine with that. Like, let's do it, because if that means that I'm going to keep my teeth a lot longer in my life, then it's worth it.
because it's darn expensive to get, so dental work is really expensive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I don't want to have to pull teeth and no one wants that. So whatever you can do. And I think that
Whatever
that's
you can do to prevent it, right? So it's
right.
prevention, but not what do I want to say? Like prevention, but not from a perspective of restriction
Yeah.
or limitation.
Yeah. Taking
It's
care
like
of yourself, doing the
shifting
things that are
into
good for you.
just shifting into healthier versions or options of things. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to like restrict yourself, but then you
Right.
keep practicing prevention in that manner. And that's one of the
Yep.
other things I work with people on. It's like how to do that. It's not as hard as you might think. Once you
Yeah, I totally
start
agree.
getting clued into stuff, it becomes a lot easier. It goes a lot faster.
Well, and that goes back to kind of that awareness and paying attention on a regular basis. And so when someone works with someone like yourself, where you're having regular conversations and appointments and discussions about the things that are going well and the things that aren't going well and what can you change and all of that,
Right.
it's in your awareness and you're doing something about it. And it doesn't have to be hard. It just
You
move
know,
yourself forward.
sometimes you just need someone to point things out to you that like you said, you're in
Yeah.
the flow and you can't see it out. Like the story that I like to share is that a while back, a couple years before COVID, I started working with a personal trainer at the gym here. They were young, college age kids and stuff. But I had one guy who insisted that I keep a food journal. And I was like, why do I want to do that? I don't want to do that. I really resisted. I was like, I can eat healthy. I eat healthy. Why do I need to do that? So I was like, oh, he was just insistent. I was like, all right, fine. So I did the bare minimum. Like I write down what I ate. And then he said, I want you to write down how you feel. And I thought he meant, how do you feel emotionally? I was like, I don't have emotional issues with food. So I just wrote down what I ate, right?
Yeah.
And then every 2 weeks or so, he's like, bring your notebook in. And then he'd go through it and he'd start highlighting stuff. And he's like, look here, see here, you had a beer here, you had a beer there, you had cake over here, you had dessert of it. I was like,
Mm.
oh, busted. Like, oh, you're right. Like, I just do that. And I didn't even realize I was doing that.
Yeah. You weren't even
And
paying
so I
attention.
stopped. It's like I really reduced my alcohol consumption after that. And instead of
Yeah.
having a beer with my dinner, I'd have like a sparkling water or, flavored sparkling water or something without sugar, of course, or, chemical additives or anything like that. But it's
Yeah.
just one of those things where, like, if he hadn't made a fuss about it and pointed it out to me, I probably would have kept going. And I'm going like, well, why aren't I losing any weight? I'm coming to the gym 3 times a week. I'm not losing any weight. What's happening over here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. Well, Donya, I know that we could just keep talking, because that's how it
Fine.
always goes with both of us. We could just keep talking about all this good stuff. But I think it's time for us to wrap up. I want to make sure that everyone knows that, as I mentioned, Donya being in the Gather community, there's always opportunities to learn more when Donya is speaking or at our summits or doing workshops, different things. Come hang out with us in the Gather community, and you're bound to run into Donya because she's always around. Also, we've got some things in the show notes of how to reach her, how to get engaged a little bit more about how she works with clients to help them, take these steps that we've just been talking about and find what it is that's the most important thing for you to start with and how to start there without it being, like we said, restrictive or like difficult or impossible. Scary. Yeah, all of those good things. So I'm thrilled to get to have this conversation because I always love bringing what you have and all of your experience and knowledge to new people. And I'm thrilled to be able to put it on the podcast. Anything that you want to say to wrap up everything in a little bow before we close?
Don't be hard on yourself. It's always a good important thing, because I think, again, the guilt creates the stress, and stress, we want to keep that under control. But don't be afraid to seek support either. I feel like a lot of people feel like, I got it under control, I know it's good, I'm good, and then they wait until something develops and it becomes more serious, and then you need to find help, and then it gets harder to find. It gets harder to find help, and then also it gets harder to make changes, lifestyle changes. Yeah,
we don't want to go too far over the edge before it's too hard to come back on the other side of the fence. Exactly. Yeah. Fantastic. And getting support is always that's always my number one thing too. We all need help. We're not meant to do this life alone. We definitely aren't supposed to know everything ourselves. So let's talk to experts like Donya about things that matter in our health.
But also, don't relinquish your personal power to
well, that's true. But yes. Make your own decisions, but consult people who you can collaborate with on the things that matter to you.
Yeah, and I say, get other, if it doesn't resonate with you,
find
someone else. Opinions from someone else. If it resonates, then pursue. Pursue it.
And if it moves you forward, right? Not only does it feel good, but it actually gives you progress.
Yeah, and sometimes people just need help with that, figuring out how to set goals and what really matters. It's not something we're taught how to do. When we're in business, we figure out how to do goals for our business. Sometimes if we're trying to find love or whatever, it's easy to set some goals like that. But when it comes to your health, it's kind of open-ended, and it's hard for people to just hone in on what's the most important thing I should be working towards to get the result I want. And what is the result I want? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, okay, everyone out there, reach out to Donya to get that help that you need, and come hang out with us in the Gather community. And we will see you on the next episode of the Bold and Brilliant podcast. Thanks, my friend. Thank you for listening to the Bold and Brilliant podcast. I'm your host, Tracie Root, and I want to invite you to check out the show notes, find out where you can connect with our guests, find out more about what I and the Gather community have to offer you, and be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform. Thanks so much.